All right. How's everybody doing out there on YouTube? I'm Shafe. This is Schaefer TV, and we got a nice little short video for you today. United came away with the win against Fulham 1-0. It was not a showcase in talent and ability, but we did get the win. Okay, and that's what matters. We won the home opener 1-0 versus Fulham. All right, we're going to go into the player ratings and a little bit about what I thought about the match and how it all panned out. I have like three little pages of notes on it. And man, there was some things that I'm so excited about, and there's some things that I just was like, wow, we haven't made any improvements at all. But before we get into that, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, guys. Let me know what you think about the video. Without any more, let's get into this. Andre Onana. All right, I think Andre Onana had a pretty decent game. I think that he wasn't really called upon very much. He didn't really have too much to do, which is always nice. He did get us started on the counter a few times, but besides that, his number really wasn't called very much during this match. And like I said, that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. If we all know what happened last year with Onana, and if he can just be a solid goalkeeper who minimizes his mistakes, he's going to do well all year. That's all he's got to do is minimize his mistakes. So yesterday, I have Onana having a 6.5 out of on the player rating. We're going to move on to Diego Dalot. Kind of the same exact thing as Andre Onana. He didn't really have much to do yesterday. He did put one good cross into the box. But other than that, I didn't see his name called very much. I didn't see him doing all that much. He was playing out of position, but I really didn't see much from him yesterday. And you know, he's a good player, and he was one of our best players last year, and I do expect more from him. But yesterday, I just didn't see him. He didn't seem to be too involved in the attack and the defensive. He was getting Adama Traore was taking him on quite a bit, but he wasn't really going too many places. After the first 10, 15 minutes, he kind of figured it out. So Diego Dalot ends up having a 6 on his player rating for me. Moving on to Lisandro Martinez, the left center back. Now, Lisandro Martinez did make a couple of good plays. Lisandro Martinez is always right where you need him to be at the right time, and that's always good to see. I believe he had 3 tackles and 3 interceptions yesterday, so that's a pretty decent game for him. Other than that, you know, he made a couple of decent passes, but you know, he's out there to lead the defense and to make his voice known. So I think yesterday I give him a 7 on his player rating. I think he had a pretty decent game. Moving on, we're going to go to the right center back, which was Harry Maguire. Now, a lot of people have mixed things from Harry Maguire. Some people think he did really well yesterday. Some people don't think he did so well. I think he did really well. He had 5 clearances, 3 interceptions. He won 6 duels. He had a pretty darn decent pass accuracy for somebody who we all know is not that great of a passer. So, yeah, I think he had a pretty decent game. There was a couple, you know, 1 or 2 bonehead things that he did. But overall, I'm giving Harry Maguire a 7.5. I don't really expect too much from Harry Maguire anymore. So when he does have a pretty decent game, I like to give him a good score. Moving on, we're going to move on to Mazraoui. Mazraoui had a pretty darn decent game. He didn't really take on any defenders very much, but he also never lost possession. He was very, very good keeping his player wide, not letting him cut in whatsoever. I think he had a pretty solid game all around. Now, I'm not crazy like some of these YouTubers are talking about he had a perfect match and this and that. I think he had a good game. I give Mazraoui a 7 on his player rating. Moving on to Casemiro. Now, Casemiro had a wonderful game yesterday. But even though I think he had a wonderful game, there's still some things that I don't think that he did so well. But I will say this. The way that United is using Casemiro at the moment, him having 3 key passes in the game was just astounding. He had 4 tackles, 3 key passes, a very good pass accuracy. I think it was 83. But that pass, the one-touch passing from Mount to Casemiro to Bruno, and then Bruno just absolutely, I mean, he just kicks it right into the goalkeeper. I don't understand. But Casemiro had a wonderful game yesterday. For me, I'm giving Casemiro a 7.5 on his player rating. Moving on to Kobbie Mainoo. I think that Kobbie Mainoo had a pretty darn good game yesterday. I think he grew into the game. I think that he's tough, he's strong, he's doing exactly what we need in midfield. He's holding possession, he's moving the ball up and down the pitch. I think Kobe Mino is going to be a generational talent. He's only 19 years old. I think he's wonderful. I give him a 7 out of 10 for yesterday's match. Now we're going to Rashford on the left wing. Now, in the beginning of the match, Rashford was not very good. He looks like he's lost some pace. He's not able to beat too many players anymore down the line. He wasn't really. He didn't have his head up. He wasn't looking around to try to find anybody. But later on in the game, he also really grew into the game. He provided an outlet for Bruno. So he did have a decent game, and I'm giving Rashford a 7. Moving on to Mount, who started at attacking midfield. Now, Mount didn't do very much on the offensive end. He did have a couple decent passes, but Mount was all effort all the time. And his press was very good. He has an engine on him. He was running and running and running, and he never stopped running. And that is something that I love to see from a player. I wasn't really expecting Mason Mount to start this match, to be honest with you, but he did. And I believe he played only 61 minutes. He probably deserved to get a little bit more minutes than that. But with that being said, I'm giving Mason Mount a 6.5. There wasn't anything too great he did, but he certainly didn't do bad at all. Amad Diallo on the right wing. I think Amad Diallo didn't get as many touches as he deserves. He's wonderful at holding up the ball. He's wonderful at cutting in. He has a very, very light left foot. It's very fun and exciting to watch him. He did do a couple of decent things. Nothing spectacular. I do wish we could see more from him. I think he's got a lot left in the tank. He only played 61 minutes. He had a successful dribble. He did have one key pass. He had a pretty decent game. I'm giving Amad Diallo a 7. And Bruno Fernandes. Now, there's people who talk about Bruno as him being great last match, and then there's people who talk about Bruno as being terrible last match. Now, I think it's somewhere in the middle. Bruno had 2 big chances that he could have scored goals on, and he kicked it right into the goalie. He kicked it right into the goalkeeper. He just has no touch on his finishing. And then he had another chance. It wasn't a big chance. I'd call it a half chance. And he did the same exact thing. He just kicked it not even half a meter to the side of the goalie. I mean, it was a little bit depressing to watch him try to strike the ball. But once they brought in Xerxes and Bruno kind of backed into that attacking midfield position, he had a lot more of an impact on the game. So I really think that that's where we need to be keeping him. We can't be putting him up that false 9 position. It's just not going to work. He just doesn't have that finishing touch. But with that being said, I am giving Bruno a 7. I do think that he made a big impact this last match, and I do think that he is going to make the biggest impact on this team. So I'm giving him a 7. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the subs now. And there's only really... there was 5 subs in the game, but 3 of them are going to get an NA from me. And the reason they're going to get an NA is because they didn't really get enough playing time to really give them any type of grade. So the first 2 subs, we're going to go with Garnacho and Xerxes. Garnacho came in. He came on that right wing. Very slow start. First 15, 20 minutes, he didn't touch the ball so much. They were trying to force it to him. He was making some things happen later on in the game. He was the one that provided the assist for the goal. He only played about 29 minutes, I believe. So after all that, he had a couple successful dribbles. I'm giving Garnacho a 7, solely based on that assist and solely based on his attacking prowess. And then last but not least, we have Joshua Xerxes. I don't know if you guys watched my preview video for this match, but I thought that it would be wonderful if Joshua Xerxes came in and scored the game-winning goal on his first home match in a United jersey, in a United kit. And that's exactly what happened. Josh Xerxes came in, same thing with Garnacho. First 15, 20 minutes, he didn't have much of an impact. Later on in the match, we could see his pace and we could see his power. He looks like he's going to be really something for us. He just got the tip of his boot onto that cross, and he just kind of flicked it in, basically. Wonderful goal. I'm giving Josh Xerxes an 8.5 on his player rating. Yeah, so that's what I got. That's what I think the player ratings are. I think that it was a decent match. I think that we got a lot of work to do. I'm not seeing very much improvement from last season. Ten Hag needs to work some of these things out. If he doesn't work these things out, it's not looking good in my opinion. But a win is a win. I take it. Move on to the next week. All right, guys. I appreciate you clicking on the video. I appreciate you giving it a watch. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Shafe. This is Schaefer TV. Have a wonderful day, guys. I'll see you on the next video.